Hello, my name is Megan Gray, and I'm a knowledge lawyer at Charles Russell Speechlys, specializing in environmental, social, and governance, or ESG. Today, as part of our new series on supply chain risk, regulation, and resilience, I want to talk about ESG data. Specifically, how to get ahead of requests for ESG data from your investors, corporate customers, and other key business partners. If you are a mid-size or small business noticing an increase in these requests, you're not alone. New regulations require large businesses to publish more ESG data, and this is driving up demand for credible, comparable, and decision-useful ESG data across the market, as large companies and investors ask their suppliers and portfolio companies to measure and provide them with more information on key ESG issues. Businesses that are unable to disclose or provide this data risk losing out on contracts and investment opportunities, as well as damaging commercial relationships. So what's driving this? Here are 3 developments you should know about. The first development is that in 2023, the International Sustainability Standards Board, or ISSB, released its global baseline standards for sustainability disclosures, comprised of IFRS S1 and IFRS S2. 36 jurisdictions have adopted or otherwise used the ISSB standards, or are in the process of finalizing steps toward introducing them into their regulatory frameworks. Some of these include the UK, Hong Kong, Singapore, and China. Whereas IFRS S1 focuses on broader sustainability-related financial disclosures, IFRS S2 focuses in on climate-specific disclosures. It builds on an earlier and widely respected framework developed by the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, or TCFD, but also raises the bar on TCFD. One analysis found that more than 50% of the roughly 100 IFRS S2 disclosure requirements are additional to the TCFD recommendations, and another 26% are substantial advancements to the TCFD recommendations. In practice, disclosing climate-related data in line with the ISSB standards means detailed disclosures on climate governance and the resilience of a business's strategy to climate change, mandatory Scope 3 emissions reporting, information on transition plans, use of carbon credits, and climate scenario analysis, which is where a business stress tests its operations, assets, and strategy in a range of projected future global warming scenarios. The second development is that the UK is in the process of developing UK Sustainability Reporting Standards, or UK SRS, which are based on the ISSB standards. In June 2025, the UK government released drafts of UK SRS for consultation as part of its Sustainable Finance Framework. Being aligned with the ISSB disclosure standards, and therefore with TCFD, the UK SRS follows 4 pillars. Governance, i.e., the governance processes, controls, and procedures the entity uses to monitor, manage, and oversee sustainability and climate-related risks and opportunities. Strategy, i.e., the approach the entity uses to manage sustainability and climate-related risks and opportunities. Risk management, i.e., the processes the entity uses to identify, assess, prioritize, and monitor sustainability and climate-related risks and opportunities. And lastly, metrics and targets, i.e., the entity's performance in relation to sustainability and climate-related risks and opportunities, including progress towards any targets the entity has set or is required to meet by law or regulation. It is expected that the UK government will soon publish finalized versions of UK SRS, S1 and UK SRS S2 for voluntary use. Subsequently, the UK government and the Financial Conduct Authority will consider whether to introduce mandatory reporting using UK SRS. If your business already reports or has been preparing to report its climate data in line with the TCFD framework, you have a head start. But a gap analysis is essential because remember that the ISSB and therefore UK SRS are about sustainability in general, not just climate, and go further than TCFD in both scope and detail. The third development is the VSME Standard. As a mid-size or small business, it can be tempting to react to requests for ESG data on an ad hoc basis. A more strategic and ultimately less costly approach is to identify the most important ESG issues for your business and proactively to collect and collate the information your corporate stakeholders will ask for in a minimum viable ESG report. One template for doing that is the Voluntary Sustainability Reporting Standard for SMEs, recommended by the European Commission. Known as the VSME, this standard is designed to simplify ESG reporting for smaller businesses and help them respond to requests from larger organizations. The VSME offers 2 modules, basic and comprehensive, and covers general information, environmental metrics, social metrics, and governance metrics. It is proportionate, flexible, and allows omission of commercially sensitive information. It is an entirely voluntary standard, but in today's market, proactively aligning with the VSME and being on the front foot with your ESG data can position your business as a preferred supplier and expand your access to capital. So what should mid-size and small businesses do now? Identify your most material ESG issues. These will be the issues most likely to affect, positively or negatively, the financial success of your business. Looking to the issues that your investors and customers care most about is a good indicator. Understand what relevant ESG data you already have. Assess the quality of that data and invest in data systems and training to ensure data is reliable and verifiable. Identify gaps in your ESG data. What are you not measuring that you should be measuring, and how will you go about obtaining that data? Engage leadership. Oversight from management is critical. In short, ESG data collection is moving from optional to essential business practice. By approaching the task proactively, with an eye to relevant standards, you can position your organization as a trusted, responsible partner and avoid a costly scramble to react to requests as they come in. Thank you for watching. Be sure to look out for other episodes in this series, where we'll continue exploring key issues relating to the supply chain.